Motivation with yours truly. This is Fit Talking Motivated, presented by me. All right, so we back after a 2-week hiatus, if this is what I want to call it. We've been off for about 2 weeks. 2 weeks of I guess mental break. I ain't gonna say I got overwhelmed, but I just didn't have the dedication to really jump on this podcast and really give y'all the me that I normally would. And as you can see, my eyes tore up, right? So we really trying to we fighting through this. Needless to say, I still got my hair cut, still looking fresh, still looking fly. Anywho, so this last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I got to thinking back to me finding my purpose, spending the last year during the pandemic trying to like kind of come up with an idea to continue the motivation without feeling like it was an obligation, if that makes sense. And I got to thinking a lot about what led me to doing this podcast, what kind of where did the motivation for this podcast come from? I think when I became a personal trainer, I thought things in life would be even more better, a little bit more simpler, a little bit more easy. Um, how do I say this? I thought it was gonna be smooth selling. I just thought that I could let my actions speak for myself. What I've learned over the last year of being a personal trainer, going to a second year, that yeah, you have to really you have to have a niche, man. You got to have a certain level of clientele that you want to be able to reach. And while I enjoy being a personal trainer and I enjoy the clientele that I've had and that I have, one thing I'm learning is you can't you can't you can't force people to be motivated consistently. Uh, and that's taking nothing away from nobody. When you asking someone to invest into their self while trying to invest into you, you gotta take it for what it is. You're gonna get consistent motivation or you're gonna get inconsistent motivation. And the funny thing is, the hardest thing about that is um what folks don't realize is when you get the inconsistent motivation, you've mentally planned exactly what's going to happen with that situation and what it's going to do, which led me to more so to this podcast, man. It's like when you see one thing isn't working, it's like I think when you get in business, a lot of people don't they know going into that chances are they're going to have to adapt to the times or they're going to have to adapt to the situation. And that's what I had to do, man. I had to really figure out um, how do I stay consistent while making sure I'm being the best me I possibly can, and I'm not, in so many words, selling myself short. So I've tried multiple alternatives and multiple options, and that led me to this podcast, man. And I do my best um, to put out the best episode each time I pod that I possibly can. But I'm excited because this is episode 25. You know, episode 25 of the podcast. So that means for the last 5 or 6, November, December, January, February, March, April. So for the last 6 months, man, we've been grinding on this podcast. And I know for the last 2 or 3 episodes, I've kind of I've highlighted that, and that's great. I'm grateful because when you start something new, you don't know how it's going to work out, um, and you just trust in the process. All right, so but the last year, the pandemic has been hard for a lot of people. Um, I constantly have to keep saying to myself, "Dang, this person has, yeah," and I know, folks say the same thing to me. It's like you got some people that, man, kind of lost their self this last year. Um, I went to a gathering last night, and we're recording on Sunday. Um, so I went to a gathering last night, and I constantly heard folks say, "Man, I got to get back in the gym," um, and that's all cool, man. But here's the thing: I think over the last year, especially Black people, we found ourselves being spoiled. We act like we never struggled before. We act like we never made it before, or didn't make it before. So a lot of folks really succumbed to whatever the moment was, instead of finding other ways to continue to stay rising or stay grinding. Folks just succumbed to the pandemic, and they didn't get out and do the things that they were doing to be successful prior to the pandemic. And it doesn't necessarily have to be fitness related, but for the purpose of this podcast and this topic, we're specifically talking about your fitness goals. You know, I was listening because I do a lot of listening, especially when folks want to talk about fitness, and I want to kind of come to a understanding of what's actually being said versus what you're actually saying. And what I heard from two or three people that I was actually listening to and that wanted to have a conversation about fitness is they were making a lot of excuses, and they made it seem like they forgot how to do push-ups, or they forgot how to go to the monkey bars at the local playground and do some pull-ups, or they forgot how to walk, or they forgot that their trails are available, or they forgot that we have ride share programs where you can ride a bike and get your cardio in. And like I was explaining to Holmes, I was like, man, during the pandemic, the one thing that I found exciting was riding a bike. And I was working out in my backyard. While I was still eating and consuming, things didn't really stop for me because I still had to work, you know, and I'm one of the lucky ones that really didn't, for the last year, didn't have the opportunity to sit back and rely on unemployment or rely on some sort of public assistance to really provide for my family. I was able to still work, and not even still work, but I was able to still get good hours and maintain my bills and do all that and do all this. So it really wasn't no fall off. Now coming out of the pandemic, what I'm finding is because I was going so hard, and folks don't even understand, the mind is one of those things that sometimes we sit back and we forget and how important it is. We were he's already been up. The mind is a terrible thing. I mean, is one of the things we forget because we dang, I done lost my train of thought. Oh man, I done lost my train of thought. I'm definitely keeping this shit on here. I don't care. Um, yeah, over the whole year, I think I did a lot of overthinking the moment. I was wondering, like, you always trying to figure out how can I avoid corona, or how can I avoid COVID. So it was a lot of overthinking, if that makes so much sense. So going into the second part of the pandemic, I'm not thinking about how can I avoid COVID. I'm more so thinking about, damn boy, I worked my ass off during that pandemic, man. And and I'm tired. You know what I mean? So getting back into a routine, man, going into the second half of the pandemic, man, it's all about reintroducing yourself into your habits. Those same habits that people think because you took a year off of those habits, that the body is just succumb to the bullshit. Like the body just isn't gonna recognize the gym or recognize some type of fitness pattern that you was already on. Listen, man, muscle memory is one of those things that once you developed it over a certain amount of time, it'll kick right back in, man. It's just about getting out of your own way and actually doing the work. You can't get so stuck into that I didn't, or shit, I was tired, or fuck, oh, I can't because I'm tired. I don't want to go. I've been through that, but what I know is even if I take a week off from the gym, which I did in so many words last week, I know I'm gonna come out and be even better. I always told myself over the last 7, 8 years that I will never go in the gym without the motivation to work out, because when you do that, you end up wasting time and you could potentially hurt yourself. That's just like going on a football field and not having your eye on the swivel. Man, you have to understand what's going on in front of you. You have to understand what's going on beside you, and you have to understand what's going on behind you. So preparation for me has always been key. Um, again, like when you talk fitness, I'm gonna give you an idea what my thinking is. And like I told, homeboy last night, he asked me, man, do you have gym, chest days, leg days, and all this? What I am learning as I age is, and I have a family, that there's no time to break down chest, shoulder, bicep and tricep, leg days and back days and core days and cardio days. I have to get in where I fit in, because you just don't have the time to really sit back and spend all that time focusing on those days, man. I don't have time to dedicate a full workout to just chest, or I go how my body feels, man. If I feel like the chest needs a little bit more attention, I'm gonna spend more time on it while still tackling other parts of my body. So each workout, really, I go in with a plan mentally, and that's a plan to just get the best workout I possibly can. I'm not overextending myself. I'm not overstressing myself. I just want to make sure the work is being done. All right, so last week or the week before last, man, Peloton was in the news, man, and I know I talked about them linking up with Versus, but I saw a disturbing video on Facebook, man, where a 2-year-old child got stuck under the goddamn Peloton treadmill. Said a young girl in the video is 4 years old. The little boy was 2 years old. And as I saw instantly, he was stuck underneath the treadmill with the ball. He had a ball he was playing with. So he was stuck under the treadmill with the ball, and he was holding on to the ball. The treadmill weighs over 400 pounds. So what I saw while watching that video, right, was the child was just playing. It looks like his sister was on the treadmill, actually utilizing the treadmill and playing on the treadmill with no attention from the parent. No one was in that room. At least from the camera angle, you couldn't see whether a parent was near or a parent was around. And then the little boy kind of was just playing with a ball, right? So before you know it, um, the little boy is literally sucked under the daggone Peloton. But the good thing was, and this is just one case, he was able to free himself from under the Peloton, and he put a lot of work in to do that. That boy did not want to die, and that was clear. And I commend the young man. But here's the problem, right? I think folks get so enamored in their own self, and they get lost in the situation. So Peloton refuses the warning, saying the company is troubled by the Consumer Product Safety Commission unilaterally press release about Peloton because it is inaccurate and misleading. So the Consumer Product Safety, they launched the investigation less than a month ago after Peloton announced a child from an undisclosed area had died in connection with the treadmill in March. So they didn't release the details of the death. But down is saying that they are reporting a dozen of other incidents involving children, adults, and pets. They said we're doing it because we've got 39 incidents. So they got 39, right? 39 incidents stating that someone got stuck under the Peloton, pet or child. So they say they've been sucked under the Peloton. Say they want Peloton to recall the product voluntarily. listen, man, if you don't put them Pelotons in over 1,000 to 2,000 homes and you want them to recall the situation. So look, I've had a little opportunity to kind of just from pictures, kind of observe and look at the Peloton treadmill. What I've noticed, and this is just my own personal opinion, is what it would be nice if it doesn't seem as if the Peloton treadmill can fold and kind of be stored away if it's not in use, which is a problem. But now that goes to consumer awareness, not just the consumer's need or just the business model of the Peloton people. I think this goes to consumer awareness. I'm going to kind of like ask multiple questions prior to buying something like that because I've been on a treadmill and I've seen treadmills like that, but treadmills are like that are only in sports facilities where you have athletes and, fitness enthusiasts and fitness people who like to work out a lot. You don't see those in like living rooms or um, open areas where it has access to kids and pets. So that's why I say consumer awareness is important, man. But they put out a statement. It said in part, there's no reason to stop using the treadmill as long as all the warnings and safety instructions are followed, not wanting to delay in notifying members. So the Peloton CEO sent an urgent reminder directly to the treadmill members to follow the critical warning and safety instructions that the company has put forth for the treadmill, which states that children, pet, and objects should be kept clear of the treadmill at all times. Members are also reminded to remove the safety key and store it out of reach of children. So, consumer awareness. I knew every treadmill has that key that you can yank out that no matter if the treadmill is plugged up, it will not operate. Consumer awareness. And I'm not calling people bad parents, and I feel bad for all the animals, pets, adults that got stuck underneath that treadmill. But they gave you strict instructions on things that could possibly happen to that treadmill. Consumer awareness, man, you have to really understand what you're buying. And if you can't follow those instructions and you have busy kids, like for me, I have a busy 3-year-old. I wouldn't buy that treadmill because I know for a fact she's inquisitive. So she's going to see it and she's going to want to touch it. She's going to want to test it out. I wouldn't buy that treadmill because I don't see a way that I could potentially keep her from harming herself. So I wouldn't buy that treadmill. So I think it's all on humans. It's all on consumers who consume the treadmill to make sure they're making the best possible decision when they're buying the treadmill, one, after they buy the treadmill, making sure they're following all the instructions that were given to them. And yeah, motivation, y'all. So this last week or two has been real tough for everybody. And I mean, we have to get in a position where we're able to talk to one another, whether it's male or female, and make sure we checking on each other, man. Because the hard part is, it's been a lot, man. You have death after death. You have police brutality, and you have the black target, if that makes sense. And I think things are a little difficult. So I motivate you to make sure that even in your daily life, if you have 2 or 3 minutes, to make sure you shoot a text to your brother. Make sure you shoot a text to your sister. Sometimes that text and that check on them can go a long way. Because a lot of people lost their jobs this year, y'all. A lot of people are going through a lot of things. And a lot of people might not be in the same situation you are. I think one thing I've been disappointed with about, just my situation is I grew up with a lot of people, man, and we have a hard time really just checking on folks. And it really gets to a point where I do it and you just don't feel like it's not that hard, man, to just say, what's up, man? How's everybody doing? Folks don't got so engulfed in their own personal life that they don't really do it. And then when you do check up on somebody, it's too late. So make sure you I motivate you, man. Check on your brother, check on your sister. Make sure all things are great. You know what I mean? It don't take much, man. What's up? You good? How are you? How's the family? Then move on, man. That's easy. But instead, folks follow you on social media and they consider that as a checkup. Do the math, man. Social media isn't real. Social media is one of those situations where you can sell a story of your lifestyle. Mostly good, not enough bad, but just make sure you checking on your folks and making sure everybody's good, because the way your folks are dying, man, you might see your brother today, he may be gone tomorrow. Um, I am your motivator. I am your personal trainer. This is Fit Talk and Motivation presented by me, that guy back there. Hey, y'all stay positive, stay motivated, and keep pushing. We out.